Let's do a quick review of the switch statement. Here's an example right here. First thing, switch statements depend on some variable that's going to potentially be different. So that variable has to be like an integer or a character, or there's something called an enum that it could be, but you haven't learned that yet. Things that can be a very specific category. Like an integer is very obviously a 1 if we're looking at case 1. A character is very obviously a capital A if it's capital A. But for a double, if you had a case 1.01, is that case 1? Or what if it was 1.000001? So those don't have very discrete values, so they aren't allowed. So your switch statement starts with the word switch, shockingly. Then in the brackets, you got the name of the variable that is potentially going to be different. And what you do depends on the state of that variable. So in this case, it's varying based on some kind of int. And if that integer is a 1, it goes to here. And then it does something. And then it breaks out of the switch statement. Now, without that break, it would continue on and do the thing in the case 2. So that break is important if you only want it to do that thing. But if you did, for some reason, if x did happen to be a 1, and you wanted it to do the thing in case 1 and the thing in case 2, take out that break and it's handled for you. But in general, you just want to do one thing. So here's kind of common situation. So if x is a 1, it does this thing, and then it goes out, leaves the switch statement. If x was a 2, it does this thing, then breaks out of the switch statement. Here's something a little bit different than you may have seen before. It's got 2 numbers doing the same thing. So there's no break in between 3 and 4. So if x is either 3 or 4, if it's 3, it jumps to here. If it's 4, it jumps to here and then just keeps going down. So if the number's 3, it does this thing. And if it's 4, it does this thing as well. And then it breaks out and it's done with that switch statement. Another great thing to have in a switch statement is the default thing. So default : and then you can get it to do something if it's a value that doesn't have a case. So in this case, in this situation, if x was -5, it would go to default. If x was 500, it would go to default. Anything that does not have a case. If you use characters, remember to surround them in single quotes, because that's how you define a character. And that is the switch statement. Hopefully it jogs the memory.